Welcome back to Opinion Leaders, everyone, and still on the topic of being clean, green, and sustainable with architect Dylan and, of course, Ms. Ria. And let's now talk about the advantages of sustainable construction and how do we do this? Let's talk about it from the ground up, because I guess many people have questions. Of course, we have lights. We were talking about some construction materials. But if we look at the overview, because you did mention it was a little bit costly, so I guess we should talk about the advantages so it could justify the being costly part.
Right.
I'll start with the costly part really isn't that, it isn't that accurate. And the reason why is there are a lot of solutions which don't cost money. Some solutions do cost money, are expensive, but there are some basic things that can help you out without even spending a lot. And these are real solutions. These are green solutions. For example, having bigger windows, which would mean you would need less lighting in the interior. Those are
even simple things.
Even
like
simple
that.
things, or having cross ventilation, which means that the wind would pass through the interior of the building, making it cooler, and then would make you less reliant on air conditioning for your cooling needs. Those are things that can easily be done. You can easily make your windows bigger, or during the design process, it can easily be integrated inside. But the challenge is to make professionals or designers innovate and think about these things rather than just copy designs from anywhere.
Right.
Especially houses which aren't done here in the Philippines. They like the design, but then they translate it here. It was made for a country with snow, but we're a tropical country, and we need climate adaptive designs. But it's very easy to be in love with, let's say, a French chateau, and then you translate it here, but it doesn't work.
Yes.
And
true.
These are solutions which are not expensive. During the design process or during a renovation process, you can integrate it. But some, yes, it's true that you would look at solutions, for example, like solar technology is still quite expensive at this point. We want it to reach a point, we're hoping that it will reach a point where it's mass-produced, the economies of scale will kick in, and at some point it will become so cheap, it will become accessible. We're not there yet, or probably we're close, or some would, the solar industry would probably say we're there already, but I don't see it on the market at this point. I can't go to Ace Hardware and pick out a really cheap solar setup which I can use to augment my power needs.
Okay.
So until we reach that point where you can grab it from the
shelves,
we're not there yet. That's my argument. Some would say that's not valid, but that's my argument.
Okay. So if you cannot find it as easy as you find accessible as everything else, that's true, because hahanapin mo pa. You're still going to saan ko makukuha ito. And usually, like me, because I'm so impatient, if I cannot find it on the shelves, I will really opt for plan B rather than outsource again, because sometimes we're on time limit, or we have to finish a deadline. Of course, if your client is stressing you out, you got to finish what you got to finish.
Right,
okay?
right. I mean, for lighting, it's not really that expensive to switch from incandescent to fluorescent lamps. I think what is important is it's educating the public, and you can buy a CFLI lamp is what, 99, 110 pesos, and an incandescent is 50 pesos. I mean, if you just look at it, one lasts 8 times longer than the other. There pa lang, I don't think
it's actually cheaper.
It is actually cheaper.
And it's brighter, like you did mention.
Yes, and it's very accessible. You can find CFLI lamps everywhere. And some stores, like there are some stores that don't sell any more incandescent lamps.
That's good.
So it also the private sector also has to help in driving this movement. For me, it's a movement na eh. I mean, you really have to create this, and there's a sense of urgency. I think there's a sense of urgency.
Yes.
It's great that you went back to that word, because the sense of urgency is what should be. I mean, viewers should be able to watch the show and say, "Oh, tomorrow I'll do something. I will make sure to at least read up on something, or look around my house, look around where I live, my condo, and say, am I really? Can I do something simple? Can I do something that I can easily do in like an hour, and then I will make some change." the sense of urgency has to be not next year, not 10 years from now, or
now, the here and the now.
Now, tomorrow.
Yes, but usually the good thing, I'm glad you brought that up, because if you start that mindset, you know, that you want to change now, something small, it usually doesn't stop there. What happens is it becomes a lifestyle once again.
Yes.
So it's like lifestyle change. So many people are eating healthy, they're going vegetarian, I mean, well, or at least not eating red meat because it's bad for your health.
So true, yeah.
You know, so if you can compare it, although I know I shouldn't be making comparisons, but to simplify it, sustainable construction is just like doing that. It's just actually integrating certain things, having discipline, having focus, and having the determination to do it and make it a way of life.
Yeah,
I would call it creating that culture.
Okay.
That culture where conservation is part of your very living. And for adults, it can be quite a challenge because you're used to a different culture.
Right,
Where if I can pay for it, it's okay to waste it. Diba? Kunyari, for example, mura lang ang bill ko sa tubig, so okay lang kahit hindi ko naman. It doesn't mean that if you can afford it, that it's okay.
Right.
Yes.
And that's for adults. But we go to different markets, like the future markets, like children, and you have to create that culture early. Because when they grow up, automatic na sa kanila yun.
They won't even have another option. It's just that.
Yeah, that's what they've come to know.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like training.
It's like training. And a lot of what training involves is about if you do something wrong, that the culture or the social premise is that everyone will not like you if you do something wrong.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Parang you will be condemned if, for example, the culture around you is that people segregate trash or people manage their waste, and then ikaw tapon ka lang kung saan. People will probably, or your friends will probably
That's true.
tell you that that's something wrong. But if the culture is wrong, and if your friends are also the same as you throw trash anywhere, okay lang yun. But that's not if
masasama ka doon.
Right.
So we have culture change.
Right. And even about you're talking about sustainable construction. It can also create commerce within the country. Like, why buy abroad? Why have things shipped abroad when you can actually, buy furniture here?
And they're very nice.
And then you promote, diba?
Yeah.
You promote commerce.
Yes.
Diba? So, we can do small things. Like let's say, when I go to the grocery, I bring my own bag. Diba? I mean, and that doesn't cost much. I mean, and sometimes the way I see it is you're willing to spend for this, which is you're willing to spend for a load of, let's say, 100 pesos. Diba? Why not, diba?
Yeah.
Why not, buy a lamp that is more energy efficient, diba?
Yes.
It's just that, and for me, the urgency is here. I mean, it's true, you can feel it only in the other countries, diba?
Yes.
Snow happened in the U.S. so early, diba? So you know that there is something wrong.
Yes.
There is something wrong.
And here, usually, I think maybe, when I was a little kid, at this point, November, it would already be very cool. But now, it's
hot.
Like
It's
April.
it's hot, yeah.
And
It's
that's
actually
strange. And I mean, if you're a little bit sensitive of your environment, you will know, maybe you don't know what's wrong, but you do know something is wrong. Something is not right.
Yes, yes.
And that's something we have to do something about.
Yeah, and we
again.
should be good stewards of our own, of our own country, of our own environment, diba?
But considering information dissemination is very important here. So let's go back to World Vision. WWF, sorry, because World Vision and WWF are my most common guests because there's a lot of advocacies and everybody's trying to do what they can for the environment. But what is WWF doing to get this out in the open? Is there any programs or seminars right now?
Definitely.
Okay.
First of all, there are a lot of people who still don't know what we do.
Yes, let's take the time. To tell them.
So we're the Worldwide Fund for Nature. We used to be called the World Wildlife Fund.
Yes.
And it changed because the mandate changed. There has to be a sense of realization that it's not just about saving a particular species or animal, which is what we were associated with
initially,
we were trying to save tigers, and we still are. We still are. And the more successful field programs that we have are related to animal conservation.
Okay.
So, for example, in Donsol, about the whale shark program. Butanding. And then we have in Tawi-Tawi, the turtles. Then we have coral reefs and the coral triangle, which is a huge challenge at this point.
Yes.
So that's what we're associated with. But the realization that it can't stop at just preserving an animal when habitats are being destroyed, and there's a bigger problem. There are more factors involved than just corralling an area and say, there are animals here, we're trying to protect these animals. And it's related with working with industries. And for example, Philips is a large-scale industry, and a lot of our partners are large-scale industry. And there's some criticism about working with these industries because they are, no doubt, they do emit something. They do have an environmental burden. That's no question.
Right.
And it's a, why is an environmental organization working with these industries? But the simple fact is that you can't not work with these industries. They're part of the whole economy.
Yeah.
And you can't say that, for example, my current project right now is with Lafarge. It's a cement company.
Okay.
Cement production is one of the biggest emitters.
True.
Yes.
Everything
in the whole
needs
world.
cement.
Yeah. And the environmental burden that cement production places on the planet is quite large. But we can't say that we just ignore cement. We won't work with cement.
Yeah.
We can't say that wag na tayong gumamit ng cement because that's impossible. So if we need to work with cement in the cement industry, similar to working with companies like Philips or Globe or Cebu Pacific, for example, we need to be able to understand that they have to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. We can't tune them out and say industries they're polluting and industries know this, and industries are actually quite concerned. That's why they have so many green initiatives within companies, because they're trying to reduce their footprint as well.
Yes.
Making a profit, that's no problem. But to make a profit and still think about reducing your impact to the environment, that's a real challenge. That's why we applaud all these companies who are giving a part of their work to WWF.
True. And I remember, the symbol, the logo, the panda did not change, right? That has been
It changed a bit. Over the years, it's still the same panda, but there was some adjustment. It became a bit sleeker.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it used to be big and fat.
But then, it had a weird shape at the start. But yeah, it's changed. But the logo is still there. And it's a great symbol of conservation.
Right.
It has so many strong. It invokes so many strong feelings from people.
And the ironic thing, while the both of you were talking about this, I couldn't help but process in my mind, that it's true. Every nation has an endangered species to save, whether it be the panda. Here it's the Philippine eagle, and of course the tarsier. But if you look at what happened over the past few years, once again, Ondoy, Pepeng, the earthquakes in Indonesia, tsunamis in Japan, it's very ironic how the species we also really need to save is ourselves.
Yes, we are.
We are.
We are a species.
And that's the reason why it's important to do what we do, to change our culture, our lifestyle, to be able to, along with the species that we're trying to save, is to save ourselves, to enjoy the species.
Actually, that's right. Because
seriously,
the one that is most at risk here is ourselves.
Yes,
and,
that's true. More than any
other species, actually.
That's true. Because we're the one, if you look at it, I mean, the dignity there is, if an animal species is endangered, it's because of what we're doing to them. At least it's an external variable. But if we're endangered, it's something we're doing to ourselves, and therefore we're inflicting our own
It's strange how we are so intent on killing ourselves.
Yes.
Yes.
It seems that
like euthanasia.
It seems that we're so intent in making things harder for ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's strange. I mean, I can't understand it. Why it's so much easier to think about how we can improve our lives instead of making it worse. But we're at that point where we are making it worse. And the large population getting bigger and bigger is not making things any easier for us.
It's making it harder because there's more people to control. There's more people to say, hey, we need to do something, and there's too many people in a small area of land.
Yes. So I think at this point,